All right. So, to address that first issue, there's two things I can think of. One is I wasn't really setting expectations with our providers. And so, and I didn't set expectations with them because I didn't want to be labeled as that guy that's like, oh, well, you care about productivity, or you care about numbers, or you just care about making money and that sort of thing. And it was my fear of being categorized like that or labeled like that, and it was ego. And I realized over time, this took me a long time to figure this out, that I was not doing them any favors. And I was, to be unclear with them was to be unkind. And um, it wasn't helping the company, it wasn't helping me, it wasn't helping them. And so finally, I think, for years you'd say, oh, there's no productivity expectation. But in your mind as a business owner, you always have a number. And you're always judging your providers based on that. And it's just not healthy to keep that inside and not share that with them because of your fear of being labeled or disliked or disrespected. So finally, I worked up that courage to say, okay, this is what we need, and here's why. And I think it's all about messaging. And I think that as the owner of your practice, I think if you work on that messaging, I think that's now being kind to your provider to say, okay, listen, it's okay for them to come in and ask for X amount of money for a salary. So it should be okay. Um, in exchange of that, I think it's okay to be able to say, in exchange for that money, we need you to see X. So I got comfortable with that idea, and I think I got better at that messaging, and I really wanted them to understand the why. And so that got better by them coming in day one. I could set that expectation at the outset of our relationship that in order for this to work, in order for me to pay you what I'm going to pay you, what we agreed upon, we're going to need you to be, here. And so productivity can be, I have a productivity expectation. I have a minimum threshold. I think there's ways around that, and messaging that to your providers in a way that's constructive to the relationship. So that was the big thing. I think the other one is back in 2019, we switched to a pay for performance model for compensation. So a variable compensation model. What I was finding prior to that is that, every year, a provider was with me over time. It was like, okay, they want to sit down and they want to talk about raises every year. But in terms of their volume of patients, it was either pretty stagnant or it was going down. So you're just losing margin over time. And you want veterans, you want to reward veterans, and they help you build your company. And at the same time, you're giving up profit to get there. So I've been there, and that's extremely frustrating as an owner. And so being able to roll out a compensation plan that's pay for performance, I can actually pay them more than I would if I had a straight salary. And I think there's pros and cons with a straight salary, but there are days where with a straight salary, historical salary, a provider is like, okay, my last patient canceled, I'm just going to go home. But they get the same amount of money.
Right.
And that's good for them, and it's bad for the company. But then there's the other opposite where it's like, okay, my coworker, I'm a provider, my coworker just gave their notice, and my supervisor just said, hey, we got to get these patients in. So now I'm coming in early, now I'm staying late. I'm doing a lot more, but I'm still getting the same. And so our interests aren't aligned with the provider's interests and the company's interests. And I think with a pay for performance model, a variable compensation model, I think you can align those interests. So we're in the Northeast, there's snow days. If there's a storm, we lose thousands of dollars that day, but everybody gets paid on a traditional model. And so again, our interests are just not aligned. So now with a pay for performance model, I think our interests are a lot more aligned. We win together, we lose together. I want them to make more money because it's telling me that they are self-funding it and they're making it happen. So there's a lot of education trying to get away from that entitlement of like, I just need to show up and I'll make X versus no, I got to show up and perform and then I can make X. And
Yeah.
so I think those are two big things from the staffing. I think our profession as physical therapists, we're going through a staffing shortage nationwide right now. So we don't have a lot of providers sitting around, but now they are busy, they're seeing patients. And if they choose to come in early, or they choose to stay late, or they choose to come in on a Saturday, or they choose to make up a snow day, there's a lot more autonomy built in now where they have to make a decision, and they're just starting to think more like doctors of physical therapy, instead of being treated like, hourly employees.